joined us before. This week, as you can see, we are adhering to the stay home guidelines and social distancing. So we're joining you remotely from our homes. Um, do you want to just quickly describe the tech setup, Robert?
Sure. We are trying a new program, Be Live. And on the call right now, we have Allison and Joyce, and we also have Erica, and we'll be introducing them further. But as we go through this, we'll be able to split screen. And our main point is trying to maintain this community forum, but uh, having it be done in a way that keeps us safe.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So, 2 weeks ago, we launched this initiative in response to COVID-19 as a way to stay connected, as a way to stay engaged as a community when we're having to be physically distant. We had a really fun time, and we hope those who tuned in did as well. Our goal really is to be able to provide the most relevant information regarding COVID 19, especially as it relates to the borough. Any relevant updates on initiatives that are ongoing in Etna, and to help support our local businesses. Um, last 2 weeks ago on our first session, we hosted Elena of the Shiny Bean and Councilwoman Megan Tunion, which was great. But we did take a break last week for a number of different reasons. One, the stay at home order just came out, so we were learning how to navigate that in terms of technology. On another end, I actually came down with just some minor cold symptoms, and pre COVID 19, I really wouldn't think anything of it, but we're just living in a totally different time right now. And, I wanted to be as cautious as possible. So I just opted to get some rest instead. And Robert, I know you and your family were going through something as well, which,
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very difficult week last week for us. My grandfather passed away. He had late stage Alzheimer's disease, and to lose a family member during this time period, any time period is an extreme challenge. But a lot of the things that people do when they lose a loved one, it's not possible right now. So even the simple things of sending flowers, there's no to a great family gathering. So in that regard, it made it more challenging. But we know we had an opportunity to gather digitally and by phone, and I do feel like we were able to connect with one another. But it was certainly a challenge and a great loss that we feel. But with that in mind, we are back here, and this is about coming together as a community and trying to stay connected. And so, Alexis, thanks for helping to put this show together again this week. And I just wanted to ask, just give uh, the three parts of the show. Can you give a quick agenda for this
yeah,
evening?
sure. So, first, I'm just gonna kind of go over some updates in the borough and talk about a few initiatives that are ongoing. Then we are going to host Joyce and Allison of Etna Print Circus for an interview, and then following that, we'll be having Erica, who's a freelance journalist who's covered stories on us before, for an interview as well. And then I'll end it off with just some final thoughts and updates on ongoings in Etna and the Tri-Borough community.
Okay, great. So, what's happening in Etna Borough right now?
Yeah, so last or 2 weeks ago on the show, we shared that the borough issued a declaration of emergency disaster in response to COVID 19. And really, all that means is that they can now act more swiftly to respond in the community. Um, Most recently, the borough has extended this emergency disaster status for an additional 30 days. So that'll run pretty much through the end of April.
Okay, and could you talk a little bit about, you know, Aetna has experienced many different emergencies. Do you feel that we're in a good position? Do you feel like things are coordinating and happening well here? And how are you getting a window into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as many of you know, and like you just said, Robert, the borough has experienced many emergencies in the past, especially with respect to flooding. And as terrible as those times were, through them, we were able to build this just very solid network of communication, of emergency response, of service providing. And, that certainly goes for right now as well. That's certainly in place. And so every week, the borough, like key service providing organization or groups and are connecting over the phone to stay connected, to stay updated, to see how we can all continue to work together. So that's the municipality, the police and fire, our organization, Emmanuel Lutheran Church, the Senior Center and Meals on Wheels, which is still continuing to operate, and the Bread of Life Food Pantry, which is still continuing to provide food donation services.
Right. And that's something that we definitely want to highlight today. The big collaboration this week across the borough, being led by Emmanuel Lutheran right now, is the Etna food drive. And so to benefit the Bread of Life Food Pantry, we are collecting non-perishable items. And the non-perishable items are collected Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you can find all of the information on our Facebook 3 times a week. And so that will go after cleaning and careful preparation. After it's been donated, it'll be later delivered to the Bread of Life in time for their distribution. There's also cash donations that can happen, check donations that can be sent directly to their address. We'll make sure that we post that as well. 94 Locust Street, Calvert Memorial Presbyterian, checks made payable to Bread of Life Food Pantry. So the big thing right now, focusing on the food crisis that's happening here in the borough. But Alexis, let's take a quick turn here. What's happening at the state level?
Yeah, so twice per week, myself and other representatives of community organizations in our district are on coordination calls with State Rep Inamorato's office, who then they are communicating at the state level on statewide initiatives. So being able to be connected weekly, twice a week with our representative and other organizations in the district has been really valuable, just to learn about what's going on. For example, in Lawrenceville, the community organizations there helped implement a buddy system where they're pairing volunteers with seniors and at-risk individuals to do shopping and get other essential items to them so that they don't have to put themselves at risk by going out into public.
Yeah, Alexis, let me jump in there. The Pastor JJ, the Emmanuel Lutheran Church, they've organized a volunteer list for Aetna. So there are many different types of volunteering that can be done right now. You can find that as well, the volunteer form on our Facebook page. So please consider whether you are a person who can volunteer right now. And if you can, please fill out their form and they'll help organize and direct that out. So I apologize for interrupting you. Alexis, anything else on the state that you wanted to share?
No, that's great. There's exciting things in Sharpsburg as well. They were able to raise a lot of money to support their food initiatives and provide really just connect local businesses to make meals, local restaurants to make meals, to then distribute those to people in need. So just learning all of these things has been really helpful to provide us with ideas, to learn how we can be interacting and I guess pursuing different initiatives in Etna, and how we can be supporting our neighboring communities as well.
Yeah, Alexis, did you order any takeout last weekend?
Yeah, I may have had some pizza from Alioto's, and I did have an Amato's lunch today. So
Wow. Yeah, I had both Porky's and E-Town, and I needed my French fry and my pulled pork fix. It's such a funny time to, like, the way that we're helping is by eating delicious food from our local businesses. But this might be a good time to transition to some of our other local business heroes. Do you want to provide an introduction for Edna Print Circus?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am going to be asking Joyce and Allison of Etna Print and Circus some questions first. Just a little bit of a background. So, COVID-19 has been a struggle for all of us. A few weeks ago, Etna Print Circus publicly shared their own personal story of struggle and how it's been impacting their business. We had to follow that up with canceling the Etna Sharpsburg Earth Day Challenge, which was really painful because we know that that was a large business order with the t-shirts. So really, I guess, hearing their story and seeing this inspired us to initiate this Etna Life Live series as a way, just in some small way, to help provide some type of support to the local businesses that are struggling right now. So we love our arts community. We find it essential, to our identity. It's part of our eco district ideology, and so in any way that we can help, we want to. So thank you, Joyce and Allison, for joining us. I can see you. I believe I can hear you. So the tech is working.
Right.
I guess first, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the story behind your business?
So I'm Allison.
I'm Joyce.
If you don't know us, we started a screen print shop out of our garage in early 2017. We had been looking for something that kind of used both of our skills that we enjoyed doing. We started out making some shirts for the Women's March that year in the basement, and kind of got the proof of concept that, okay, we can make shirts. We should go for it. And then about a year and a half ago, I took the leap to make that my full-time job.
Okay, I have to admit, I didn't. I lip read, but I could not actually hear you.
Can everyone else hear me?
As long as everyone else can hear you, I think it's probably okay.
I'm looking at
Robert's saying, I think yes. So,
okay.
Sorry, everyone.
Yep. So, Allison and Joyce, just to be able to continue, do you mind sharing how this has been affecting you?
Oh, yeah. So most of what we do is events-based. We sell our t-shirts at craft shows, at festivals, things like that. And we're seeing a lot of events get canceled further and further into the summertime. Just as things progress, as we learn more and more about the situation and just how to keep our community healthy and safe. So yeah, everything's really kind of up in the air right now. And most of our custom printing customers, everybody's been affected. So yeah, a lot of what we do for custom printing is printing t-shirts for events and for other small businesses that don't have anything coming in right now. And then also personally, one of my other gigs is that I'm a professional face painter. So I'm just a freelancer, and obviously that's a lot of face touching that we're not doing right now. So yeah, community events, street fairs, birthday parties, none of that's happening right now.
Okay, so I can hear again. I'm sorry. I'm back. Awesome. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, for sure. I know this is like you just shared, this is a hard time. So how have you had to adjust? I know that you have your online, but how have you had to adjust that?
Fortunately, yeah, we do have the online store, and that's been pretty big. But otherwise, we kind of step back and look at the big picture and realize, I love what I do. It's just t-shirts. There's bigger things going on in our community that need attention right now. There's bigger things that need focus and energy. You have to look inward to how to, take care of what you need to do to live. But then you have to look outward and say, what good is it to get our business through this if our community suffers? Mm-hmm. Both pieces have to work together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I did see in the news recently, I guess some of that spirit that you are just talking about, and um, PriZilla making some headlines in that way. So, can you share a little bit about that, and also sharing who or what PriZilla is?
Yes, PriZilla. I wish we had visual aids that we could show here. PriZilla is a school bus. We own a decommissioned school bus. We bought it at auction last summer. If you've ever considered this, decommissioned school buses are shockingly affordable. Um, and so we've been working on turning it into an event vehicle, like a mobile print shop, so that we could take it to events, but so that we could do live printing demonstrations or activities, or we could show up and print shirts for an event on site, which we're really excited about. But as we kind of watched things unfold in our community, we were kind of taking stock of our assets and our skills, and we looked at that and went, okay, this is too unique of a resource to let sit at a time like this. Like, we've got this bus, it has a massive carrying capacity. All of the surfaces inside are easy to clean. The length of it from the driver's seat to the back door is a safe distance to load and unload and interact with people. And so we thought we've got to find a way to put this to use. We also thought that food was going to be an immediate need for many people in our community. So we sent an email to 412 Food Rescue that said, I don't know if you have any use for this. We know it's kind of an odd offer, but this is what we've got. And serendipitously, they were already working on a project with the Latino Community Center of Pittsburgh and A+ schools to distribute meals along school bus stop routes. Some of the public schools have been doing grab and go meals from the schools, but if kids can't get to the schools, that doesn't work. We know they can get to bus stops. They get there every day. So the timing was just weirdly so perfect that they had this whole project about school bus stops, and we had a bus.
Yeah.
Crazy. And then at the last second, so we picked up food from 3 restaurants in Lawrenceville, and this was a pilot, kind of a proof of concept. Michael Keaton heard about it at the last second and offered to purchase the meals. So that man got involved. It was just a coincidence, but really an awesome example of how organizations work together to address needs in our community.
Yeah, absolutely. Like real superheroes, I guess Batman wise, but also like real
Wow.
superheroes in the community, like you and 412 Food Rescue and everybody just doing what they can, to help. So that was, to me, when I read that, it made me smile, and I was so happy and just inspired, by what you guys are doing. So that was awesome.
Thanks. It was really, really cool to get to participate in.
Yeah, you said it was a pilot. I hope it was successful enough. It seemed like very, very successful. I hope it's able to continue and expand as well.
We do too.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to look for ways to be helpful, be useful as much as is possible, as is safe.
Yeah. So that was a really inspiring story for me. I know that just in general, this is a hard, difficult time, but do you feel like there are any positives that can come out of this at the end?
I struggle with the notion of looking for silver linings in a situation where the stakes are so high. And at the same time, I see immense, incredible opportunities to not go back to the way things were, but to build something better. That we have to learn from every single thing that we're experiencing right now and make sure that we seize every opportunity to really work towards a more equitable, sustainable future.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's wonderful. In the meantime, how can folks support you guys and at Print Circus?
Yeah, so it's already been mentioned a couple times, but our online store, we do have a web store. It's just etnaprintcircus.com. We're having a huge sale on there right now, so go ahead and check it out. That will be one way. We also have an Indiegogo set up for PriZilla, actually, to convert her into a mobile print shop. So that's up. If you take a look at the Indiegogo, there's a couple different things that you can do on that site. But you can pre-book for a live printing event, and also you can get a crazy good gift card deal. And also you can even just follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram and Twitter, and it's all Etna Print Circus.
Awesome, thanks. Do you have any final things that you want to say to the community before we transition?
We are so grateful to you, to Robbie, to the Etna Community Organization and our neighbors for adapting and innovating and finding new ways to bring us together and support our community. It's really incredible. We're so proud of our neighborhood. Take care of each other. Nobody gets left behind.
Reach out. You never know. You have no idea what your neighbors could be dealing with right now.
And tell people what you need. If you need something, we know it's hard to ask.
It's okay to ask.
Yeah.
It's okay to ask right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is certainly a time to be honest and to ask and to help one another. Yes. Thank you so much. So now we will transition. Robert's going to take over my place, and he will welcome.
So I'm back, and Alexis, okay, getting the hang of this. Okay, bye, Allison and Joyce. All right. That was that was very. I'm really moved by what Joyce and Allison had to say, and I'm sure many of you are as well. I'm going to invite on Erica, who is a freelance journalist. She has covered us from the Shaler trip for many years, and she's written some really great stories. She recently had a story that she wrote on our personal Facebook, and she'll share a little bit about that with us. So I'm going to invite her on now. And here she is. Hi, Erica. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Can you introduce yourself?
So I'm Erica Cebzanov. You might have seen my byline and recognize my crazy last name. But I actually don't live in Etna. I live in Ross Township, but I have covered Etna for like 4 years, along with Shaler, Millville, and Reserve as part of my Tribune Review beat. And my stories appeared in the Shaler Journal in print and on the Tribune Review's website.
I said it. So I said Shaler Trib.
That's okay. I'm sure. Yeah, that's okay. I explained it.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for joining us. There are so many businesses and people at work that have been affected by COVID-19. If you would, could you talk personally and professionally how COVID-19 has affected you?
Yes. So unfortunately, on March 20th, I found out that the Trib is no longer using freelance writers or photographers, and there were massive layoffs, and I was one of those people. And my editor, who was employed with the Trib for 23 years, he also lost his job. And it comes down to advertising, because a lot of businesses are closed right now. And so they're no longer advertising. A lot of events, just like Joyce and Allison mentioned, a lot of events are canceled. So people aren't advertising for their events. A lot of the sports aren't happening. So people aren't advertising for sports. There's not a need for sports writers right now. So there's a huge loss in journalism right now, not just at the Trib, but also Pittsburgh Catholic, which was a local publication. It decided to shut its doors the same week that the Trib announced its layoffs. Pittsburgh Current and Pittsburgh City Paper, they're seeking donations right now to help fund their operations. So a lot of local journalism is struggling.
Wow.
It's been struggling for a time.
And there's absolutely the human aspect, but it's also the service that journalism provides the city. What do you like, you know it personally. What do you think as a city, what do you see as the impact, and do you see kind of a turnaround once if business picks back up? Do you feel like we're losing these things forever, or do you think this is a temporary condition?
Well, I mean, in general, across the country, journalism has been declining, especially local journalism has been declining over the years. There's been such a loss. But I mean, the Trib, they did say that for freelancers, they would keep our contact info, and if things pick back up, they would feel free to contact us. But I don't know. Print has been declining for a long time, so people have been transitioning more to digital. So it just, I'm not sure. But as far as the impact, it's huge. I mean, it's whether you'll have people covering school board meetings, municipal meetings, having well-sourced articles, as opposed to people just getting things from like the rumor mill, just having like citizen journalists, which sometimes is okay, but sometimes you need like people who have experience doing these things.
Yes.
So it's just, and especially you would think that there would be a lot of people are turning to the news right now during the COVID-19 crisis and constantly checking for updates. But the problem is that there's a lack of advertising.
Yeah.
Locally.
Yeah, I think when you make that point, we're getting an overload on one type of coverage and not the sort of fullness of life that we typically get, and there's a real threat to not have these institutions in place. I wonder if you could speak to the some of the other impacts that you're particularly concerned about related to this, alongside that individuals might be feeling.
Right. Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to speak about was the as far as people accessing mental health resources, because I know that people who maybe even don't have mental health issues might be feeling more stressed, more anxious during this time. And I want to preface this by saying that I'm not a mental health professional at all. I'm not a doctor. If you feel like harming yourself or harming others, you should definitely call 911 or head to your nearest emergency room. But I had severe clinical depression in my late teens and in my 20s. And luckily that's in remission, but I am still in treatment for generalized anxiety disorder. And I just want people to know that they're not in this alone, that people care for them, that like Allison and Joyce said, you should feel comfortable reaching out for help. So I wanted to speak about the importance of accessing mental health resources and that there should not be a stigma surrounding doing so. So as far as some things that people can do, there's teletherapy now. So that's an option. People who, teletherapy is when therapists or psychiatrists treat patients remotely over the phone or the internet, as opposed to in an office, because we're now isolated in our homes. And Dr. Ken Duckworth, he's the chief medical officer for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. He's said in an interview for the Today Show that Medicare is actually covering teletherapy now. And that it has the same effectiveness as in-person treatment. So definitely check if you're interested in teletherapy, check with your insurance carrier to see if that would be covered. And also, if people don't have internet access, they might be able to do teletherapy over the phone too. And then there are therapy apps now, which you might have seen ads for on TV. And those you can, they allow patients to text, call, or video conference with their therapist for a flat monthly fee. Then Alcoholics Anonymous, people might be having issues because they can't attend their normal meetings during this time. So there are online meetings. And if you visit AA-intergroup, INTER group.org, you can find some virtual AA groups online to attend. Another tip is for anyone who's worried about accessing their prescriptions, try to request a 90-day supply. And a lot of insurance carriers are fulfilling that request now. So as far as any prescriptions, not just for mental health medications. Then there are a lot of hotlines that people can call if they feel like they're having a mental health crisis. One is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. The helpline is 1-800-950-6264. Again, that's 1-800-950-6264. And that one's actually staffed by volunteers who have mental health conditions. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. There's another one that's via text, and you can just text the word hello to 741741, and that's the crisis text line. And then another issue is that people might be experiencing domestic violence, and now that they're isolated and in their homes, they are having a hard time leaving. So there's the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. And then lastly, just some general tips that anyone can use from the Centers for Disease Services is to take breaks from watching, reading, or listening to the news, which I know it sounds odd that I would be recommending this, but even I have to do this because sometimes it is like an overload of COVID-19 news at all times, and it can make you anxious just to have all this bad news at all the time. Or you can try to seek out positive news, like the news of Allison and Joyce, like about their story about the, what a great thing that they did, helping with food insecurity and donating their bus. Then take care of your body. Try to take some deep breaths, stretch, meditate, try to eat healthy, well-balanced meals, exercise regularly, get plenty of sleep, avoid alcohol and drugs. Try to focus on some activities you enjoy. Now is a good time to pick up a hobby or try to do something that you've been wanting to try for a long time and just haven't had the time. And try to connect with others, talk to people you trust about your concerns and how you're feeling. And again, don't feel badly about reaching out for help. And the big thing is just to realize that you're not alone and that people care about you.
Erica, I just want to say thank you so much for two things: for being so brave to share this all with us, and two, for really elevating mental health during this time period. I know it's something that I think about, but am afraid to speak about, and I really am grateful that you did. So thank you very much for that. I look forward every week to finding your stories in the Shaler Journal, and I know that that's something that I'll greatly miss. I've had so many enjoyable stories, and I just wonder if you could talk about some of your favorite past memories and stories of covering Etna.
Well, one of them was about Winschel's hardware. Sometimes the favorite part of my job was talking to the people more than the actual writing and hearing people's stories. And John Winschel, the owner of the hardware store, he just going over the history of his business and the building that his business is in, which I have to give him a plug. His business is still open right now. It's still considered essential. You can order from his business off the Do It Best website and have items shipped to his store. And you can also stop in. But his business was founded by his great-grandparents in 1888, and they had a cart outside the street on Butler Avenue. And then eventually, after his great-grandfather died, his great-grandmother opened a department store in the current location. And his relatives lived in a third-floor apartment in the building that he's currently in. And when he was a child, he lived in that building until he was 8, and he had a swimming pool on the roof of that building. And he remembers having a Christmas tree every year on the roof of that building. And he started working there when he was 8. He was paid with ice cream from a local business. So just hearing the stories about that business, and I mean, you go in and you can kind of picture it as like an old department store or like general store. So that was just a great experience writing about that. And another one was when, and I'm sure you can help me explain some information about this, but when Mary Ellen Ramage told me about the her discovering that the Norfolk Southern Railway crossing was public instead of private, and that she and the borough wouldn't have to pay for the flyover crossing that was like $3.4 million, so that the Riverfront Park would be able to happen sooner rather than later, and that the borough would be saving a lot of money for that. So that was just like a win for the borough, and it was so exciting.
It's a win for everyone. I love, I feel like I'll be telling Mary Ellen stories the rest of my life. She is such a hero and creates these wins for the community. So very lucky to have her. And I appreciate that you brought up that long history of Winschels. That's why this moment's so critical, in that these places, they really could disappear. And if we don't, as a community, find ways to support the businesses that are in our town, that we love, that we cherish, it's time to step up as a community and find ways to support these businesses. So that's a little bit about what this program has been about. We've been fundraising to have our guests have paid compensation for appearing on here. And we shared that last 2 weeks ago with Elena. We have fundraised for each guest speaker $100 from ECO, $25 from the Garden of Etna, $100 from the Triborough Eco District, and $25 from an anonymous donor, $250 for each guest. And when I shared that with you, Erica, you made the decision to make sure that we forward that to the Bread of Life Food Pantry. And I can't tell you how important and necessary that is. When we were on the call with their leader down there, her name's Alexis Weber at the Bread of Life Food Pantry, it's possible that they run out of food during a regular box pickup. Or a shop, and during non-COVID-19 times, it's actually run like a grocery store. So you go in and you shop. And right now, with new regulations, you have a box. So your donation and anyone's donation to the Bread of Life Food Pantry allows them to buy the necessary proteins and fruits and vegetables, the perishable items that are not being collected during the food drive. So I just want to thank you for that, and let everybody else know that that's possible. So Erica, just to send us off, what final message do you, or what closing message do you have for us here in Etna?
Well, first of all, you're welcome. I'm happy to make that donation. I've actually interviewed Alexis a couple of times about the pantry and the amazing work that they do year round, but I know that now they're doing exceptional work during this trying time. But I just want to thank everyone in Aetna and also in Shaler, Millville, and Reserve for welcoming me into their communities. I know that I was like an outsider journalist coming in, and thank you for sharing your stories with me and for answering my questions. And the time that I spent with you just has meant so much to me. And I'm so going to miss spending time with you. And I hope that you'll keep in touch. You can find me on Facebook. My last name I know is complicated, but it's in the information for this program. But thank you. And again, I'll never forget the memories that I've made covering your communities, and you inspire me. All the work that you do really inspires me.
Thank you, Erica. I really appreciate your time and everything that you've done for the community and the stories that you've told. And I hope that somewhere in the near future, we can be part of a story again that you write.
I hope so too.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring back Alexis. Okay, so bye, Erica.
Bye. Thanks.
Okay. Hi, Alexis. Okay. I have to unmute you. I'm really doing a great job with the tech today.
Me too.
Okay, so there you are.
Hi.
We're not going to get a reputation about really high tech or tech savvy.
Yeah, that's okay. We are about the community. That's all that matters.
Okay, so Alexis, we're going to be kind of rounding it out here. You know, as the executive director of ECO, we, the community has been working for 3 straight years to develop a plan about projects, about ideas for things, and then COVID-19 happens. Mm-hmm. And can you tell us, what does that mean for people who have ideas and they have a clear mission? What's happening in the nonprofit world right now? What's happening for you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it doesn't necessarily mean that those ideas or missions are thrown out the window. It just means that, we need to kind of take a breath and recalibrate and refocus and think like, okay, how can we meet the needs that our community is facing right now? How can we meet the most urgent needs? With our Etna Eco District plan and our Etna Eco District work, some of the things are going to just progress a little bit more slowly than we wanted. For example, the EcoPark. We've been putting a lot of time and energy and effort into developing that park and getting all the pieces in place to make it a wonderful green space for all. And that's still going to happen. It's just on a little bit of a hold right now because there are more immediate needs like food access in our community. Food is one of our key focus areas as an eco district. We have our 6 quality of life issues: water, mobility, air quality, energy, food, and social equity. And sometimes the circumstances that we're working in just mean that we have to put our attention towards one of those more than others, whether that be project availability or in times like this, in emergencies where that's really just a basic need that we need to make sure our community members have and make sure that those needs are being met. So from ECO standpoint, that looks like what organizations and groups in Etna are already working towards that. So Emmanuel Lutheran, the Bread of Life Food Pantry, the Borough, like those very established networks. How can we support that to advance our mission around food? one of the outcomes of all of this is that we will just be a more strongly connected community. We'll have more strongly connected networks around food access. We'll be able to continually learn so that when we are out of this COVID-19 emergency state, we will be able to kind of see, I guess, really take lessons learned and just go forward with it stronger into the future. Resilience is a big part of this as well. That's an underlying eco district principle that that all of our work is focused on: social equity, environmental stewardship, and community resilience. So we know that we're a resilient community based off of our history of floods, and this is just another example where we will do our best effort to stay strong and come through this together. At a personal level with my job, I just want to help. I don't want to do business as usual. I don't want to be, of course I want, for example, the EcoPark to come to fruition, and I'm really excited for that. But if there are community needs right now, I want to help address those, and then we can enjoy the park when we're all healthy and safe. So
really appreciate that perspective and the attitude that you're taking. I really appreciate, yes, we're helping as an organization, but there are so many people in this community that are really doing the serious work. And I'm thinking about the volunteers at the Bread of Life Food Pantry. I'm thinking about the volunteers right now at the food drive that's happening at the All Saints Activity Building. And I'm thinking about every community member who buys online at etnaprincecircus.com or orders takeout. In any way that you can help, please do. So I guess Alexis, if I can send us off with the two things that we want people to do. We want you to sign up online for the volunteer form if you're able to. And if you're not leaving your home and you are able to, please send a check to the Bread of Life Food Pantry, 94 Locust Street, Calvert Memorial Presbyterian. Check should be made payable to Bread of Life Food Pantry. So those are some things we want you to think about. Please stay tuned. We are updating what's happening with the business community on our social media, and we'll bring more news next week. Alexis, what do people have to look forward to next week?
Next week, we will be hosting additional businesses. We're working on that. We'll have another guest that we'll just be excited to share that and other updates as usual.
Okay, great. Well, I'm going to bring back Erica and Allison and Joyce. Just wave goodbye. Okay, here we are. Okay, there's everybody. Okay, thanks everyone for coming to our second Aetna Live, and that's it for today. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.